Hey guys, Lemon02. Currently doing a repeat of a recording that I attempted to do, but the game just went too slow. So we're on a four-colored Jeskai deck. I call it DarkJeskai aggro. This is our opening hand. It's a fine hand. Lingering Souls is probably going to be the first thing we're playing. We don't know what we're playing initially, but when we see basic island, we think probably blue-white control or possibly blue moon. Play our second land, leave upper hand. Opponent does nothing. Plays out another basic. At this point, I'm thinking blue moon because I mean, unless she has like a high basic hand, she just has a lot of basics in hand. Like that's a lot of basics. Um, we get negated on Lingering Souls. I'm fine with. I run it out because I figure if she's going to counter that, like that's a card for half of a card. It'll allow me to get a threat down next turn and still leave up remand. So I play out my basic here. Put the spirits into play. The basic was a great draw because now that I know she's like I'm almost 100% that she's on Blue Moon at this point in time. Like we need to put her under a clock so that when she plays Moon, it's not as relevant. We play on our fifth land, go and attack with the spirits, have Treasure Cruise in hand, which is a powerful card, and we could look to either remand something or cast a Restoration Angel on her end step. My thinking is right here, I can get a swamp or a mountain with this Bloodstained Mire. I haven't reviewed this mana base in a while. What you'll find out is very interesting in this game is we cannot get any other basic lands because we only have 2 islands in the deck, which is not good against Blue Moon, and it definitely warps how this game plays out. We do go ahead and remand I believe it was a Deceiver Exarch back to our hand because just for tempo and to get deeper in the deck. Play on a tapped land there. We're not very happy about it because, you know, if we had our choice in how we could fetch, we would fetch some basics here because we're going to need them. She's in a sizable mana situation, sizable card situation. We see Deceiver Exarch again. I fetched intentionally there so that when she replayed it, I could Fatal Push it so she couldn't go Mountain Splinter Twin and just win the game because I believe she's on a Splinter Twin deck. We get fired here. I just go ahead and Spell Snare this because I want to leave my threat on the board. That could have been wrong, but I don't know. My idea before, though, had been to leave up the Restoration Angel, and here is, I believe, when Disaster strikes. So we get the first Jace. First Jace is, okay. You know, we can possibly beat it. It's not good because it mitigates our spirits. We do get a Misty Rainforest here, which we fetch for the non-snow-covered island because we're a Tainted Pack deck. We go ahead and Chain Lightning the Jace here, and then prepare to attack with the Celestial Colonnade to kill the Jace. I believe she plays out Ice. No, Stifle. Stifle, yeah, because Fire Ice is already in the graveyard. She stifles this activation, which is a beating. We go to second main because we can't get. We're not going to get to kill our Jace this turn. We go ahead and Treasure Cruise here, leaving the red card. Correction, we had to eat everything. We eat everything but Fatal Push. We're hoping to fade a Moon here. But what happens is we get Jaced, I believe, this turn. At this point, she has Moon in her hand. I'm like 900% positive. She has 2 Jaces. She actually throws her Jace out, which I'm kind of shocked by. I think I would have just plussed it there, but maybe I don't know, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Then again, I mean, she may just not have had an answer for the Colonnade at that point and didn't want to lose it, but now you lose your other Jace. Or what you want to do is incentivize and kind of like level me to incentivize me to attack the Jace here with the Celestial Colonnade. So given that notion, maybe it was better to have just played the Ajani out and shot the Ajani, or shot the Jace with the Ajani. So we get mooned here. Our mana base is defunct. Our spirits all die. We cast out Snapcaster. We cast the Treasure Cruise. We have a misplay here. We should have exiled the last card and left the land untapped so we could play around Daze, Censor, or what happens to us is Condescend. My thinking is my ounce to winning this game are pretty low right now because this deck can't really cast its spells under a Blood Moon. I don't have... I probably could get into the Royal... Thing in the Ice is castable, Delver's castable, but I don't feel very good. And then when she has this, like, it's just, like, probably game over. We go ahead and attack into it. If she wants to trade her Glenalandra, I'm okay with that. We continue to draw very strong cards, but just cards we cannot cast. And eventually we lose this first game. So we get hit again here. That's fine. Draw Spell Pierce, not likely to be live at this point in the game. She'd have to tap pretty low to do something about it. We get Snapcaster fired, and she has 4 power on the board, plus does 1 damage to us. Hits us for 4 down to 7, and I believe kills us in the short order. We cast out the Grim Lavamancer because we can, and it's a fine card, but it's not likely to win us the game here. We know she still has 2 burn spells, including that one in her hand. She does that, I believe, Vencers this, and just kills us. So we just couldn't cast our spells, and we lost the game because of that. Mostly because of how we built our mana base. Because like I said, I think we correctly assessed what we were playing against, and we fetched appropriately and got lucky and drew one of them. But we just couldn't fix our mana any better to play around Moon. Having the 2 islands in play was the best we could do. So this hand stinks. It's not very good. But my thinking is, like, it has Collective Brutality. It can set the way for Jace. It has 2 fetch lands, one of which can get one of my basics to protect me in this matchup. We get Spell Pierced here, which is a beating, because now we don't believe we're going to be able to get our DAC off. I believe she has a turn 2 Pyromancer here, which is strong, but I have the DAC, which means she's also tapped out and has no island, which means at this point, Daze is not a thing. Force of Will or Bust, pretty much. Or possibly Pact of Negation Stifle. We plus, find 2 relevant cards, pitch the Fetch Land and the Prairie Stream, and prepare to take a DAC hit, or to have DAC hit here. Our thinking is, unless she plays the Moon this turn, we're going to be able to preordain and then dig through time, and hopefully find gas to win the game, because DAC obviously works very well with dig through time. We just pull a good card there, so we end up ditching the Caracas, and I believe the preordain, because we just found what we needed. We go ahead and begin to pass it here. To the second main, because we have Mana Drain in hand, and if I have to Mana Drain a counter spell, which I assume she has, I want to get the mana on my following turn. She goes ahead and casts Dissipate or Disallow here. We go ahead and Mana Drain Disallow with expectation to have 3 additional mana on her following turn. End up burning out her Pyromancer and doing 2 damage to her face. Alright, so Dak gets burned out. Spirit's still alive. We end up going for the dig through time here, and we're probably going to find 1 land with it. And we also find a Geist of St. Traff, which is a good pull. So what we end up doing here is finding a Volcanic Island, casting the Geist of St. Traff, which is the other card we got, Tainted Pact, thinking that we're going to find Force of Will, but we see Tasigur, and we're like, okay, well, have the Moon or die. Is pretty much, you know, your game plan here. She doesn't evidently have Moon, or she doesn't think it's good enough to cast there. So at this point, we have Snapcaster plus the Mana Drain, or Snapcaster plus Dig Through Time, and we have the Tasigur in play. She plays Nimble Obstructionist now. We go ahead and cast Snapcaster, targeting Mana Drain. Mana Drain this for 3, and prepare to cast our additional threat on the second main. So with Tasigur, I opt to actually exile some of these cards because I don't really want her to give them to me. I mean, I'm comfortable getting Dig Through Time or Pact of Negation, especially on an active Tasigur. We get Cryptic Commanded here, which is rough, but it is what it is. I think I may have liked it better if she had done that on my upkeep, because my draw could have been a counterspell. We're in not a control mirror. My deck's more of a tempo deck. Hers is more of a control deck than mine is. Probably less of a control deck than like blue, white, black control. We get a duress back, which is fine. It's what we can probably expect. And at this point, she is going to lose this Jace. So I go ahead and duress. I see her hand. She has the Back to Basics, as we kind of expected, but Back to Basics is only really a strong card. It's only a strong play if you're not killing them already and have creatures threats on the board. So we go ahead and get rid of the Jace, play out the Tasigur, and I believe just leave the Tainted Pact in there and bolt her face down to 3. She ponders to try to find action because we got rid of the Mystic Confluence, which was the best action in her hand. She, I believe, she draws off of Gush and goes ahead and concedes it there because she doesn't find what she needs to answer these 2 threats. In our game 3, this game was actually the best game, and I was recording this before, and I had to stop it in this game because our time was just running out. We didn't have enough time, and the recording just makes this so much slower. So this is our opener. It's not great. Doesn't have access with the fetch land to basic island. We draw Force Spike for the turn, but our thinking is, again, like, Dak is going to help us filter. We have 2 counter spells that are probably relevant in this matchup, and we also have an Arc Trail to kill any early threats. So she goes ahead and plays a Grim Lavamancer here. We obviously cannot Force Spike that. We play out the Caracas here and pass it back, leaving up Miscalculation and Force Spike, and whatever else she can imagine, ideally. So she attacks with Grim. We say, okay. We draw Basic Island, which is actually one of the better pulls we could have from the deck. We see a Deceiver X-Arc. I'm going to say no to this with Force Spike because it still allows me to leave up Miscalc. And also, if she just has Mountain Splinter Twin, we just lose the game on the spot. And my Arc Trail cannot kill that. We see a Young Pyromancer come out, which is actually okay for us because we have the Arc Trail to kind of stop that. We're hoping to hit lands here. We don't, so when we see Swords to Plowshares, we just nip this thing in the bud and kill it right now. Leaving up both Counterspell, Miscalc, and actually Is It Charm at this point. Now, I believe at our end step here, we actually go for Is It Charm draw discard. We take 2 here on our end step, but what we're thinking is we're probably going to try to Is It Charm if we can on her end step to draw, because I just need to hit land drops right now. I can't afford to be missing. I actually don't go for it there because I'm kind of afraid of Factor Fiction. I think that was probably wrong on my part. I think I should have gone for it that last turn. I do go for it here. I find land. I ditch Young Pyromancer and Collective Brutality. In retrospect, because I was rushing at this point, but I see it now with more foresight. I should have kept the Young Pyromancer and probably ditched like something like the Manus Rider. Because you'll see what happens here in the very short term is we get blown out by another Blood Moon. And our miscalc is not enough to stop it. So we see Moon, and we say, all right, we cast the Spell Queller out. It just gets countered, and we kind of knew that was coming. We figured she was waiting for counter backup. So we're on 1 blue mana and a bunch of worthless cards. So we cast out the Dak Faden, draw, find red mana, and nothing else. I don't want to really hit this young pirate or this Grim Lavamancer. I could have hit it there, but I really wanted to wait for better options for it. We get Glenalandra, which is actually a rough beating here. We go for the Arc Trail. We know she'll counter this because she's not going to lose 2 things when she can just lose or she can get 1/1/1 counter on the Glen. The Glen comes back, counters that. The thing in the ice is down to 3 counters. We cycle the Miscalc, just looking for more gas. Miscalc's not going to be relevant. We actually find some good ones here. We find Lightning Bolt, which we target the Grim Lavamancer with. She goes ahead and starts trying to cast something here. I believe it is a Mystical Confluence. Oh, it's a Force of Will. We go ahead and counter Force of Will. I think this was probably a misplay on her part. I think she missed tap, but her time's low too. She goes ahead and does 2 damage to the Dak Faden. The evasive action resolves, countering Force of Will, taking 2 counters off Thing in the Ice, and we're down to 1. So we've got her in like a kind of a dicier situation. Like if we flip this thing, it's probably the biggest threat on the board. It's probably bigger than most of the threats she's able to present to. So Dak only goes to 1 there, and the other part of that was we wanted to save our Dak. We find Preordain, which is strong because it allows us to flip TT. We flip TT. She casts out, I believe, a Pestermite. Pestermite, I believe, taps TT, and then flips back to hand. We Preordain, I believe, see Force of Will and Stoneforge Mystic. Stoneforge Mystic is stone uncastable by our deck now, so we dump that to bottom, keep the Force of Will. She goes back for the Pestermite. We counter this with Force of Will, because our fear is if she has the combo for it, either Kiki Jiki or Splinter Twin, we just lose the game on the spot. Another part of me kind of wanted to counter the Glenalandra as well because it's a recursive blocker. Find Celestial Purge for the turn, ditch it, keep True Name Nemesis, getting rid of Scrubland and Celestial Purge, because if we draw the other island at some point, we can play True Name. See Snapcaster targeting Preordain to look through her library. As you can see, we're both down to the wire right now, but neither one of us has lost this game, so, it's tough. We ditched the 2 cards that are worthless. Brainstorm, which is probably a mistake on our part because we're very close to timing out. Put Mana Leak and Wooded Foothills on top. Try to. Get lagged into it. She blocks with Snapcast, or she takes. She takes the damage here. She bolts me, so I'm thinking, all right, I'm probably dead on the next turn. But she doesn't mise. She doesn't find it, puts me to 7. Dak is still active. We go ahead and draw, ditch the 2 lands that do nothing, and attack. She is obliged to block because she has not found lethal. She blocks. Snapcaster dies. Glen still in play. And at this point, she times out. And I didn't know what I was going to draw or where that last island was. Really, the only draw that really mattered was island there. Because island, or actually Into the Royal would have been relevant too, because I probably wouldn't have used it until she tapped out of like all her mana. Because I mean, obviously she has Glenalandra in play, which is not likely to happen until she like finds a way to deal with the Awoken Horror. But This was a really sweet game, and it did come down to time. Unfortunately, I would have liked to see how it played out, but I don't think we were extremely favored. But like we definitely were not a 0 ounce. The Awoken Horror is pretty damn good. Like it's a 7/8 body, so I mean it reckons an answer. So even if it's one of those things, like even if you're not, you're not exactly favored. Sometimes it's worth playing it out because like one, you can get lucky. I mean, Dak Faden helps with getting lucky because you're seeing a lot more cards every turn, so it kind of reduces your variance. And I already had that in play. Um, but this is probably not a great matchup for the deck we're on, DarkJeskai, and we were able to pull one out with it, even if it was clock, But pretty sweet set of games. This last game especially, like, this was a nail biter, and it's unfortunate that I had to kill the recording while I was doing it live because of time issues. Because I was just like lagging so bad that I was like, all right, I can't play this game, and not the commentation part, but I can't play this game and have the recorder going at the same time. 'Cause it was just too slow, too laggy to actually finish the game to fruition. So ideally, I kind of wanted to finish the game. And I don't know if we would have. When it comes down to clock management, that's a thing, But no one wants to win that way. I'd rather win by knowing if the deck can win or not. But very fun series of games. I hope you guys enjoyed this recording of a recording with my commentary, and I hope if you're interested in playing the format at all, you probably look at both these decks because they're both very cool decks. I think Blood Moon style decks. We call them Blue Moon, but like you Blood Moon, you have Back to Basics, you have Magus of the Moon. And then they play a whole boatload of basic lands. And then generally they're basically a counter burn deck with some of the best planeswalkers in both those color sets. You have like Chandra, Torch of Defiance. You have Jace, the Mind Sculptor. You have the other Jace, Architect of Thought. You probably have the Flip Jace, Jace Vryn's Prodigy in there. You have cards like Glen Elandra. Generally speaking, a little more controlling than the deck we're on. The deck we're on is playing stuff like Falcon Wrath Aristocrat and Manus Riders, so it's a little more aggro than her deck is. But at the same time, it's they're both viable strategies. I think her deck probably preys more on the deck we're playing because we're a 4-color deck, non-green, no mana dorks, with very few relevant answers to a resolved Blood Moon or Back to Basics, other than just racing it. So I think we did construct our game plan to our best ounce here, and we tried to play around Moon as much as we could, but we she managed to get it so that she had counter backup the same time that she was playing her Moon. We were kind of on a dead draw as far as lands went. I don't think we had ounce to dropping our Dak Faden before then, just due to the fact that she would have countered it, and then we would have been tapped out into a Back to Basics or Blood Moon, and it would have been just like, all right, game's over. If I'm just hitting my top deck every turn, if I'm getting up to 2 cards extra a turn, like to look at, I think I can win this. If I'm just getting 1 a turn, I'm gonna lose probably every time, or I should because that's just I would have to get extremely lucky. But realistically, like the only way we can deal with this is bouncing it, and right now, our chances of doing that with her with 2 cards in hand and a ton of mana probably pretty low. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off here, and 2 very cool decks, Blue Moon and DarkJeskai aggro here. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you're interested in the format, pick one of these up and have a good time with it. All right, guys, take care now.